Everybody doing this evening? I want to talk a little bit more about the cryptocurrencies and talk about this Kodak coin that has been announced. I think it's going to be released a little bit later in the year. But the interesting thing about this is that Kodak is a publicly traded company and it has shareholders. So when they create a cryptocurrency coin called a Kodak coin, and by buying this coin, you're going to be able to share in the revenues of the company, you're actually diluting the shareholders' interest in the company. So instead of revenues or profits going back to the shareholders, they're going to be shared by the people that own the cryptocurrency or the crypto coin. So there's a big dilemma for publicly traded companies to issue their own coin, because it's almost like they're double dipping into the equity market. So I don't know how this is all going to play out, but the interesting thing about this and why people don't understand this is that because Kodak made this announcement, their stock tripled. I think it went like from $3 to $12. So it tripled. The stock tripled because they made the announcement that they were going to dilute their interest in the company. So you bought some shares in a company that's now going to be worth less because the company now is going to be paying revenues to people that are holding these cryptocurrency coins. So very, very interesting. People don't understand it and they don't know what they're doing, because if you would have understood this, you would have thought maybe the share price would have gone down, unless you just feel that Kodak's going to be so wildly profitable in this area that the stock's going to go up regardless of how much revenue they give out to the people who hold the coin. Very interesting concept, and something that's probably going to have to be worked out sometime in the future, because companies that are public now that have shareholders that go ahead and issue a currency, a crypto coin, have an initial coin offering, they're making their shareholders' interest in their company less valuable. And I think this is going to be a problem for a lot of companies, big companies. And I don't know how they're able to do this without, or maybe they do it with the shareholders or the board of directors. Maybe they just consider it business activity. I don't know. And not, something to affect the financials of the company. It's like a business transaction. We're issuing a coin. And from that coin, we're going to issue revenues. I don't know. I haven't really looked at it really closely and see how it's worded. But this is a very interesting concept. I wish, I would think if I was an investor in Kodak, I would probably step back from it. But if people are just playing a short-term play and they know that this is snooze, play the stock and watch the thing triple. Not a bad day to have a triple in one day. But how it affects the long term, I don't know. But a very, very interesting concept that companies that are publicly traded are able to have a cryptocurrency coin too, and how that may affect the people that already hold the stock by diluting it with these cryptocurrency coins. Very, very interesting. Something I'm going to take a look at watching this in the future. There's a couple other things I was going to talk about as far as the cryptocurrencies were concerned. Oh gosh, I had a couple other issues I was going to talk about. I remember what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about this. It's very interesting. Trump, in his tax bill, is giving back money to big companies. And what they've been selling the ignorant American people that are too lazy to go out and figure this out or think about what's going to happen, and still buying into the stupid ideas that Ronald Reagan had about trickle-down economics, is Apple Computer, one of the largest corporations in the world. In fact, I think they are the largest corporation in the world. They make the iPhone, they make the iPad, they make everything. I mean, and people love their products, absolutely love their products. They're bringing money from overseas back into the United States. It's a sweetheart deal, because Trump's allowing them to bring back that money without any tax, or very little, or whatever that he's doing, which is just supposed to be this great idea Trump has. We're going to allow a computer company to bring the money back into the country. They're going to create jobs, and they're going to build bigger buildings and hire more engineers and do more research in the United States. And this is all going to create more and more and more for the United States people. Well, guess what Apple Computer's going to do? they're going to bring the money back into this country, and they're going to buy back their own stock. So they're not using the money to create more jobs for the American people. They're using the money to enrich the shareholders and the insiders by repurchasing stock in their company. So they're taking more of the company back private. The part that was out there being held by shareholders, now they're buying it back. So they're using their big tax break or their big tax deal with the Trump administration to bring money back into their country of origin, just to use the money to buy back their own stock, to enrich and empower the company. So that's what they're doing, not using it to hire people. And it's just the whole fraud of the trickle-down economics that never did work, because companies, when you give them a break, they don't take that break and give it back to the American people. They just use it to further their own empires and their own situations. That's what happened in the 1980s, and that's what's happening today, and it's a stupid idea. It never works. I think if you want to create a company, or you want to put back to the American people, you need to create, you can't let these corporations, these huge corporations, have the money back into their own paws, because they're just going to make themselves bigger and more rich and more exclusive and harder to touch. What you have to do is you have to put it into the everyday, ordinary person's hands. You have to create something, some sort of a, not by doing some government plan of giving people educations or job, lending money to people for small businesses. You have to figure out a way to get the money into the people's hands, not into these major corporations. And all the Trump tax bill is, and the Republican tax bill, it's just a big windfall for the big corporations. It's not a windfall for people that are out there struggling to start a business. It's not a windfall for them. And government programs that are all messed up and fouled up and have tons of bureaucracy, they're not helping the small businessman either. Nobody's helping the small businessman, but then Apple Computer is taking the monies and buy back their own stock, which is, it's just crazy. It's crazy stuff. It's not working. And all Trump talks about is economics. Yeah, great economics. You just got Apple Computer buying back 25% of their own stock. Wonderful for Apple Computer, not wonderful for anybody else. But that's the first thing out of his mouth every day, is how well the stock market's doing and how wonderful his tax plan is. I don't think he's smart enough to even know what he's done. And I don't even think he's smart enough to see how it's playing out. But I guarantee you one thing, that the big politicians up there, like the guys that for Goldman Sachs and Steve Mnuchin's of the world, I think they know what's going on. Yeah, and you know, they got it figured out. And that's why they're on board with this kind of stuff. And this is why he's got guys like Steve Mnuchin as a Secretary of Treasury, because this is the kind of bullshit deals that were going to be done. And that's exactly what he did. So Apple Computer becomes enormously wealthy over this tax bill. Enormously, because now they just buy back 25% of their own stocks. So the insiders and the people that have huge stocks of Apple Computer stuff have just bought back, made the company more private and less public. So it's, you know, less stock out there for everyday ordinary Americans to buy, and then the stock that there is available is going to go clear up in value, because you have 25% of it now being taken off the table. So thanks a lot for the Republicans, thanks a lot for Donald Trump, and thanks a lot for Steve Mnuchin. You're really helping the guy out that you say you're helping out. The people that put you in office, the people that went out and campaigned for you, the American public that continues to support you through all of your nonsense and ignorance and stupidity and all the illegitimate things you do and say every day. Now you're going to screw them economically when you tell them that you're not. But that's the story. That's the real truth. I'm not being paid anything to say this. I'm just a person saying this. This is why this is not fake news. This is the real news. This is a person who's just on the internet. It's not being paid a penny for this, but does have the background to know what's going on, because I was in the finances for a long time, was a stockbroker for a long time, and I do understand how the markets work. And most of the time, the markets work in favor of people that have money. They don't work in favor of people that don't have money. If you want to try to get into something to try to make money, I would recommend you start studying cryptocurrencies. Because as of yet, they still haven't been taken over by the big banks. And as of yet, it's still debt-free, regulation-free way of trade. And a way of having your money increase in value. And I don't give a fuck what Warren Buffett says. You know, Warren Buffett doesn't even do email. And Warren Buffett still thinks if you can't feel it, touch it, eat it, stand on it, grab it, hug it, whatever you want to say, it doesn't exist. I don't think Warren Buffett even realizes there's a digital world out there. You know, Warren Buffett wants to be able to physically see and touch everything he invests in. And that's always what he said. It's always what he's done. He's almost 90 years old. He's not going to all of a sudden learn the internet. And he's not all of a sudden going to figure out how these cryptocurrencies work. He doesn't have the background or the understanding of it. He really doesn't. So don't think of what Warren Buffett says, and don't think about all these people that are telling you that it's just nonsense. Because it's not. I mean, if it was nonsense, there wouldn't be all the money in it that there is already. The market cap's getting up into I think Ethereum is what, over $1 billion or over $100 billion market cap. I mean, there's a lot of legitimacy to this, and like I say, as of yet, it's not money that's been polluted. So take a look at the cryptocurrencies. And forget all this crap that you hear out of Washington, and all the crap you hear from Trump and the Republicans and the Democrats. They're all bad. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Thank you.